What's up, y'all? This is Corey from the OverLook, and we go over the books you may have overlooked. Where do I start? Jen and I have been watching Season 3 of Titans, and it's so dope. Bro, this show gets better every season. If you want to check out our thoughts on the season, or any of the previous seasons, you can check the link in the description to our second channel, where we have all of our TV and movie discussions and reviews. Anyway, let's talk about the Red Hood. The beginning of this third season deals with the death and resurrection of Jason Todd. In order to gain perspective on the character, let's cover the story, Batman, A Death in the Family, otherwise known as the death of Jason Todd. It took Batman 3 weeks to track down the kiddie porn ring's main warehouse. The bust was all set to go. He and Robin were in hiding, waiting for their police backup. Suddenly, Robin runs out of patience. That's the way it goes sometimes, with the best laid plans of mice and men. Batman should have known something like this would happen. Robin, Jason Todd, has been acting oddly of late. Very moody, resentful, reckless. That attitude is about to get him killed. Batman jumps into the fight. He brings his entire 210 pounds on them. Hard. There will be some serious hospital time in their immediate futures. No traction for these guys. Just a need for extensive dental work. However, Batman loses his taste for the whole affair by the time he reaches the last pornographer. So, he tosses him to Robin and lets the boy finish him off. Robin, obviously, has a dangerously high level of aggressive energy to work off. Batman tries to keep his temper in check. He reminds himself, Jason's just a kid. What the devil was that all about? He asks, shaking his partner. Didn't I tell you to hold up? Yeah, I heard you, Robin responds. But we had the goods on these lowlifes. I didn't see any reason to wait. They were only 8 of them. Don't you understand? There are even procedures we have to follow. I promised to let Gordon in on the bust. You jumped the gun. What's worse, you nearly got yourself killed doing it. What do you think we're doing here? Playing some game? When Batman gets home to Wayne Manor a couple hours later, he finds Robin's not yet returned. In a way, he's relieved. It gives him a chance to talk with his oldest friend. Bruce sits down in his study and confides to Alfred. He explains Jason is losing it. He just dived into a group of thugs, like someone looking to die. Even Alfred has noticed some disquieting things about Master Jason himself. Bruce has tried to approach Jason, but the lad avoids talking about his parents lately. Bruce has walked in on him several times, looking at the battered old photograph of his mother and father, crying. When Jason notices him, he immediately hides the picture and leaves the room, refusing to speak. It's becoming clear that Bruce may have started Jason as Robin before he had a chance to come to grips with his parents' death. Bruce decides he must rectify this situation and chooses to remove Jason from active duty immediately. Jason overhears the two speaking and wonders aloud if he gets to have a say about any of this. Bruce and Alfred can't be serious. I most definitely am. Bruce stands to his feet. You're in no shape emotionally to be on the streets. I haven't made this decision capriciously, Jason. A person's got to have his head screwed on right for this line of work. You're hurting, kid. You've got a lot of anger and pain inside of you. It's going to take time for you to get rid of it. Let me help you work this out. We can start by talking about your parents. Once again, the boy throws Bruce's hand off his shoulders, turns on his heels, and stomps out the door. His last words to Bruce are, "You want to talk? Talk to Alfred." Joker escapes. Again, citywide manhunt begins. For years, Jim Gordon has tried to talk Arkham Asylum into tightening up its security. It's adequate for your run-of-the-mill psychopathic killer. But for someone like the Joker, well, apparently the Joker was able to gain access to the janitor's storage roof. It never occurred to anyone that he might be able to mix up a version of that lethal laughing gas of his, using only common cleaning agents. He then simply walked out the front door, leaving 8 dead men in his wake. The killing never stops with him. Detective Gordon has put out an APB on the Joker and has alerted the Justice League and the Titans, which is good. Everyone's gonna want a piece of the Joker after what he did to Barbara. Jim doubts he'll remain on the loose very long this time. Not with every law enforcement agency in the country making him their #1 priority. Elsewhere, within a warehouse, the Joker is packing his bags. His lackey, Rupert, asks the madman why they came to the warehouse out of all places. They ought to be heading for the state line. The Joker is just too hot to be sticking around Gotham. Hell, Rupert isn't too sure if the Joker is safe anywhere in the country. The Joker is well aware of that fact. He happens to be crazy, not stupid. The Joker knows when it's time to take a vacation. Unfortunately, this will have to be a working vacation. The authorities have been busy seizing most of his hidden assets during his latest stay at the beautiful Arkham Asylum. All for what he did to Gordon's daughter. Well, that was awfully petty of them, wasn't it? The Joker asks. The woman only got what she was obviously asking for. Fortunately, the government wasn't able to unearth all the Joker's buried treasures. In the warehouse is something he was saving to break up the boredom on some future rainy afternoon. His very own cruise missile. Rupert asks the Joker how in blazes he came by a cruise missile. Through a friend, of course. A friend of his in the military who owed him a big favor. Originally, the Joker planned to fire the weapon at City Hall. Unfortunately, now he'll just have to sell it to some terrorists instead. It's the only way he can think of to safely replenish his severely depleted funds. On paper, the cruise missile doesn't exist. No one even knows it's missing. It's another favor his military friend did for him before his untimely demise. The Joker thinks aloud that this may have all worked out for the best. The time has come for the Joker to make a few changes in his life. Crime hasn't been all that good to him of late. He's been spending more time in Arkham Asylum than out. The Joker has been seriously thinking about getting into a new line of work. Some endeavor where his special talent will be properly appreciated. Something like international politics. And the cruise missile will bring in just enough money for the Joker to buy himself into the game. Elsewhere, Jason Todd is in his third hour of walking, trying to let off some steam. His subconscious guides until he ends up somewhere in his former neighborhood, Crime Alley. He even finds himself over by his old homestead, the apartment building he once shared with his now dead parents. The memories hit hard. The boy has got a lot of sorrow to work out of his system. His mother's name was Catherine Todd, a good woman who probably loved her son deeply, only wanted the best for him. Willis Todd, his father, probably loved Jason also. Maybe that's why he drifted into crime, hoping to give his son a better life. The poor fool realized too late that those kinds of shortcuts never pan out. Catherine Todd's life was cut short by a disease that just didn't care how much love she had in her heart. Jason's dad fell victim to the vicious gangster he was working for, Two-Face. That left Jason, as an orphan, living in an abandoned building when Batman found him. Bruce thought he had Jason's best interests at heart when he rushed him into training to be the new Robin. But, you know what they say, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. As Jason passes the old apartment, a woman sticks her head out of the window. A friend of his mother's, Mrs. Walker. Mrs. Walker explains that after everything that happened, Jason kind of disappeared. She can't blame him for that, but when no one claimed his family's possessions, the landlord sold them off. Mrs. Walker was able to save a few items for Jason just in case he ever came back. Jason examines the contents of the box to find old photographs of his family and some personal papers along with it. Jason cheers at the sight of his new treasure, lifts the box full of items and carries them out of the door. There is a man named Jasper Taylor. He is a known associate of the Joker's. The address Batman has on file for him is a transient's hotel on the Lower East Side, and it looks like Batman arrived just in time. At the sight of him, Jasper turns on a dime and aims his weapon. Batman almost forgot what fast reflexes Jasper has. He must be letting his worries about Jason get in the way of his performance on the job. You can't afford to get sloppy in this line of work. You might end up dead. That realization causes Batman to overcompensate. He takes Jasper down too hard. He'll be out for hours. Batman came in search of information. He won't be getting any from Jasper. But maybe Jasper's luggage will give Batman a clue. He examines the contents and finds a passport and a visa for Lebanon. Strange. Batman spends the next few hours trying to track down more of the Joker's former henchmen. No luck. They all seem to have disappeared. All vacationing in Lebanon, perhaps. When Bruce phones home at nightfall, he learns that Jason has finally returned. Alfred informs Bruce that Jason went directly to his room, requesting he not be disturbed. Photographs are a bridge to the past. Black and white reminders of the way things used to be. Links to those who are no longer with us. Priceless treasures. The boy also examines some of his parents' personal papers. A deed for an acre of land in Virginia. A lapsed insurance policy. Some of the papers are his own. Old grade school report cards. His birth certificate, which contains a gut-wrenching surprise. There's his own name on it. Jason Peter Todd. Just as it should be. There's his father's name. All correct and proper. The trouble lies with his mother's name. Jason's mother's name was Catherine, not S something. The last names water damaged, smeared, unreadable. Questions race through the young boy's head. It takes some time, but he accepts the truth. As impossible as it seems, he finally grasps the realization that Catherine Todd wasn't his real mother. But then, who was? How is he going to find out the truth? His mother and father are dead. He can't ask them. Stepmother. A bitter realization to the boy. His real mother is someone he's never met. Someone who may still be alive. There has to be a way to find out. The boy was taught by Batman on how to be a detective, and he'll use that skill well. Jason finds his father's old address book and picks out all the women whose first names start with an S. There's 3 of them. It takes Jason all night scouring the computer in the Batcave, but he finally finds all 3 women. Of course, with his luck, they're all currently out of the country. All in the Middle East and Africa, of all places. There's Charmin Rosen, who immigrated to Israel in 1982 and currently works for the Israeli Secret Service. There's Shiva Woosen, a lady with a shadowy past, suspected of being a mercenary, operating out of Lebanon at the moment. And there's Dr. Sheila Haywood, working famine relief efforts in Ethiopia. So, what does the boy do now? Take what he has to Bruce? Ask for help? No. He already knows what Bruce would say anyway. That he's in no shape to be running off on this type of investigation. Besides, Bruce wouldn't care about finding Jason's real mother. All he gets off on is catching crooks. He probably couldn't even understand why Jason would even want to locate his mother in the first place. This job's all his. He can't depend on anyone for help. Truthfully, Jason feels kind of shabby running off like this. Bruce and Alfred have been really kind to him, but he really doesn't have much of a choice in the matter, does he? As Jason uses Bruce's credit cards to secure himself a red-eye flight across the globe, the Joker has hijacked a military cargo plane heading directly for Western Asia. It's very roomy. More than enough room to store the cruise missile the Joker has been harboring. And the US Navy shouldn't realize it's missing for hours. By then, the Joker and Rupert will be settled and doing business in Lebanon. The Joker takes a moment to pat himself on the back. As a nice change of pace, his plan is working out quite delightfully. Meanwhile, Batman stumbles upon the Joker's warehouse hideout just before dawn. No one's home, and it looks like the Joker left in a hurry. He left an interesting mess as well. Sophisticated tools and a Geiger counter. Tire tracks on the floor. A heavy-duty truck from the looks of it. Batman recognizes the tread design as a type only the military uses. He then flips on the Geiger counter, knowing what he'll find. Every fiber of his is hoping he's wrong. He's not. The room's background radiation count is still within a safe range, but much higher than it should be. It all comes together. A nuclear device in the hands of that madman. The mind boggles at the possible uses he'd put it to. But why Lebanon? Batman jumps into the Batmobile and makes a call to the Justice League. He might as well take advantage of being part of an internationally recognized organization. His contacts over there as Bruce Wayne, millionaire, will also come in handy. Batman then returns to the Batcave to find Alfred awaiting his arrival. Alfred, worried, holds up a note he found in young Jason's room a short while ago. It's a farewell note stating that Jason has run away. Now, Batman has to make a choice. Does he stay in Gotham to live up to his responsibilities as the boy's guardian? Or does he go after that madman and his nuclear weapon? It's painfully obvious which path he must choose. The question is, how will he ever be able to live with his decision? Batman arrives on the northwestern Mediterranean coast of Lebanon. Before arriving, Batman checked in with Ralph Bundy, a friend of his at the CIA. That's how he found out about the hijacked C-130 transport plane. The plane had fallen into the hands of a Shiite extremist group who refused to give it back to Uncle Sam. So Batman made a deal with Bundy. He'd fix it so the U.S. Naval Commandos could fly out of there, but only if he could examine the plane before it took off. Batman has a fairly good idea who flew it there. The dead naval pilot in the cockpit confirms his suspicions. This is the Joker's handiwork. Batman's mini Geiger counter shows him that there's a high background radiation count in the loading bay. Whatever the nuclear device is that the Joker has acquired, its warhead is leaking slightly. If the Joker isn't careful, he's going to end up with radiation poisoning. We should all be so lucky. The Joker's gotten this far, which means whoever he's selling the weapon to is in Lebanon. It's probably terrorists, Batman assumes. However, it's hard for him to concentrate. He keeps wondering where Jason is. It's hard to believe Jason took off just because Bruce temporarily curtailed his duties as Robin. The lad has been acting strangely of late, and Bruce can only guess why. The boy hasn't yet adjusted to the death of his parents. Bruce wishes he could track down Jason and bring him home himself. But this Joker business takes priority. Lives are at stake. Bruce makes a call to check in with Alfred back in Gotham. He has done so every 12 hours since he left. Standard procedure for when the hero's escapades lead him out of the city. Alfred informs Bruce that he has just completed a computer check on all credit cards issued to their runaway charge, and apparently Jason was listed yesterday as a passenger on a late night flight to Israel. Bruce confirms the information before telling Alfred that he'll check Israel just as soon as he's done with the business in Lebanon. Elsewhere, Robin is infiltrating an Israeli military base. He attempted, briefly, to go through the proper channels, but they just plain refused to tell him where Charmine Rosen was. Honestly, Robin isn't surprised. Governments don't willingly give out the locations of their secret agents. Standard procedure. But national security secrets don't cut the ice with Jason He just has to know where Ms. Rosen is. The lady may be his real mother. Fortunately, everything is kept on computers these days. Even where to find secret agents in case you need them. But, wouldn't you know, she's out of the country, undercover in Beirut. At least they've got the hotel she's staying at, Robin thinks. After a quick search, Robin finds there are no direct flights there from where he is now. He'll have to do some plane hopping. Still, he should be there by noon the next day. Beirut, a city in turmoil, a capital torn apart by armed, polarized factions, each trying to seize control. Seems everyone's either armed or crippled by the war. You can feel the tension on the streets. Chances are the Joker came to Beirut to contact his customers. It'd be too dangerous, even for him, to take his prize directly into the Bekaa Valley, where the radical elements are entrenched. Trouble is, Beirut's a big city, and Bruce doesn't know where to start. He flags down a cabbie to help him find his way around. Eventually, upon request, the cab driver drops Bruce off in the worst neighborhood in the city, the place where criminals gather. Weapon smuggling has got to be the area's leading commerce. Selling information probably runs a close second. But Bruce doesn't have time to bargain. A change of clothes will make it easier to take a direct approach. It takes some time, but Batman finds a man selling black market medical supplies. Just the kind of guy he's looking for. Batman can tell by the expression on the man's face that this is going to be easier than expected. Unlike Gotham's hoods, these gun cells don't know about the Batman. It's a case of unfamiliarity breeding fear. The guy can't wait to tell Batman everything he knows, which, unfortunately, isn't much. The next three characters Batman talks to aren't any help either. He finally hits pay dirt with number 5. The man tells Batman that there is someone at the Hotel Blue offering to sell the object Batman seeks. His name is Brando. Batman thanks the man by punching him across the jaw. He should be knocked out for a few hours or so. Batman reasons that he had to do it. He couldn't risk the man reaching Brando before he does. There aren't many hiding places in Lebanon. So, what happens next isn't much of a coincidence. Jason arrives at the hotel he tracked down Charmine Rosen to be staying at, the Hotel Blue. Bruce intercepts Jason and asks the boy what the devil he's doing. Jason explains that he's looking for his mother, his real mother. Jason goes on to mention finding his birth certificate in a box of his parents' belongings. He discovered his true mother's name was S. something, not Catherine. He'd found 3 women in his father's address book whose first name started with an S. He tracked them down using the Batcave computer. The woman he's tracking now is Charmaine Rosen, an Israeli secret agent. Shiva Woosen, a suspected mercenary, is also in Beirut. Lastly, there's Dr. Sheila Hayward, working famine relief in Ethiopia. Bruce, in turn, explains the dealings with the Joker, how the nuclear threat has to be dealt with. He had every intention of chasing after Jason back in Gotham, but lives are at stake. Jason shrugs it off, stating he understands. There's nothing glamorous about hunting down a runaway. When suddenly, out of nowhere, Bruce and Jason see the 2 people they are looking for walking arm in arm down the road. Weapons seller Peter Brando and Israeli agent Charmaine Rosen. And from the looks of it, Bruce and Jason are working the same case after all. Peter Brando and Charmaine Rosen get into a car and head for the outskirts of the city. Bruce and Jason are able to follow them for a while in their own truck, but the road quickly becomes deserted in the outskirts, and Bruce has to pull over for fear of being seen. Luckily, Bruce has something with him that will turn him and Jason invisible. His jet-powered hang gliders. They'll look like nothing but birds in the distance. The 2 heroes change into their costumes, grab the gliders, and lift into the air. It's funny that Bruce decided to bring a spare glider along. Maybe he's getting precognitive in his old age. He has to admit, even under these circumstances, it feels good having Jason by his side again. The 2 heroes shadow their targets into the night as they continue heading south. They finally stop at a camp near the Israeli border. The heroes then land a safe distance away before approaching closer by foot, stopping only when they were close enough to hear the ongoing conversations. The 2 watch as Peter Brando and Charmaine Rosen approach the Joker, his henchmen, and a group of local extremists. Rupert, Joker's henchman from Gotham, asks Peter Brando if he has the money for the payment. Brando smirks. Of course he does. And he brought it with them in the case. $1 million. The Joker begins to laugh. He turns to the group of extremists, telling them the deal is done. He's got the cash, so they are now the proud owners of a brand new 1988 cruise missile. The Joker himself stole, dismantled, and reassembled the firecracker after smuggling it into the country. The gentlemen have made themselves an excellent buy, and they have the Joker's word on it. The Joker hands over the firing code and the coordinates for the target him and the buyer previously discussed, then turns to make his leave. That's when Batman and Robin make their move. The two heroes run over the hill and incapacitate the extremists guarding the perimeter. This alerts the crooks and criminals, and they respond with a barrage of bullet fire. It's international cooperation. Arab extremists and American terrorists are now joining forces to kill the two heroes. There's a lesson to be learned from this, but Batman and Robin are a little too busy at the moment to appreciate the situation's geopolitical significance. The heroes take it nice and slow. They whittle their enemies' numbers down, one at a time. The darkness is their ally. These men depend on guns too much. They feel the cold steel in their hands, and it makes them overconfident, makes them careless. That's when Batman hears the sniper rise from behind the rocks. He's ready to roll out of the sniper's line of fire, but ends up not having to. Charmaine Rosen, Israeli agent, joins the fray. It's just too bad she didn't check behind her before acting. Charmaine takes out the sniper, but Peter Brando is able to get the drop on her. He holds her at gunpoint and threatens to blow her brains out. Robin rushes in to save the woman who could potentially be his mother. The boy's angry cry now makes him Brando's target, just as Batman's sure Robin intended. At that range, Batman can tell Brando will cut Robin clean in half, but he can't reach him in time to stop him from firing. There's no way for him to save Jason. Batman, however, didn't take into consideration the capabilities of Ms. Rosen. She easily dispatches with Peter Brando herself by flipping her attacker over her shoulder. Meanwhile, the leader of the extremist group is attempting to enter in the coordinates in order to fire the missile before Batman can put a stop to him. He aims it towards Tel Aviv. But right as the leader of the group presses on the launch button, the missile detonates where it stands, killing over a dozen men. Our heroes, being farther away from the missile, are thrown back by the force of the explosion. How is this possible? They all wonder. The Joker said he had dismantled and reassembled the rocket. Apparently, he rushed. The heroes are just lucky the nuclear warhead didn't detonate along with the rocket. And speaking of the Joker, as Batman examines the area, it seems the Joker has escaped again. Charmaine Rosen, the Israeli agent, thanks Batman and Robin for their aid to the Israeli people. Robin tells her it wasn't any problem, and hopefully she can return the favor. All she has to do is answer his question. The boy asks the woman if she's ever been to Gotham City, if she's ever had a baby there. As strange as the question may be, Ms. Rosen answers it. She has not. Whoever Robin is looking for, it isn't her. Batman and Robin then escort Ms. Rosen back to Beirut, using their hang gliders she didn't care for the ride. Ms. Rosen breathed a sigh of relief when they transferred to the Land Rover, and the sun was up by the time they reached Beirut. All in all, Ms. Rosen was a nice lady, Jason comments. Just not the right lady. Jason tells Bruce he's not going back to the States yet. He's got 2 more women to check out still. Shiva Woosan, who is somewhere there in Beirut, and Sheila Hayward in Ethiopia. Bruce, regrettably, tells Jason that he'll stick around, if anything, to make sure the boy doesn't get himself into too much trouble. And elsewhere, at a nearby airport, a Weasley-looking man walks up to the counter and purchases 1 ticket to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. His flight leaves soon. Lebanon, the Bekaa Valley, the very heartland of Shiite terrorist activity. Batman and Robin are there on a mission, a very personal mission. They follow a sentry to the extremists' hideout. The sentry is going to help them reach their goal, and he's just the right size. One of Batman's drug-tipped darts will do the job nicely. It'll put the man out for at least 6 hours. This is tricky business Batman and Robin have gotten themselves involved in, dealing with cold-blooded terrorists. Each move must be carefully planned and executed. Death is only a moment's carelessness away. Honestly, Batman wishes he could have handled this job without Jason tagging along. But he's the reason Batman's there. Batman's hope is that this mission will quiet the angry fires that burn within the boy. Jason started getting out of line back in Gotham, taking reckless chances. Bruce quickly realized the problem was that he'd not yet adjusted to the death of his parents. That's why Bruce decided to put Jason on inactive duty temporarily. He wanted to give the boy time to come to grips with his grief. Of course, Jason didn't see it that way. While wandering around town, trying to work off his anger at the perceived rejection, Jason ran into Mrs. Walker, a friend of his parents. She gave him a box containing some of his family's personal papers. The box contained a bombshell, his birth certificate. That's when Jason discovered his mother wasn't Catherine Todd. The unreadable name listed under mother started with an S. From his father's address book, Jason found 3 women whose first names started with an S. He used the Batcave computer to locate them. There was Charmine Rose, who'd immigrated and became an Israeli secret agent. Reports had it that Shiva Woosan is a freelance mercenary, currently operating in Beirut. Dr. Sheila Hayward was found in Ethiopia, working on a famine relief project. Jason ran away from home to discover which of these women is his real mother. Bruce stumbled upon Jason's quest while tracking the Joker to Lebanon. That madman had planned to sell a cruise missile to a group of terrorists. Batman and Robin managed to spoil the Joker's nuclear fire sale and save Charmine Rosen's life in the bargain. But it didn't work out like the heroes hoped. The Joker escaped. Bruce decided it'd be best if he stuck around to help Jason in his search, especially seeing as how the next lady on his list was the mercenary Shiva Wusan. To save time, Bruce called his CIA contact, Ralph Bundy. Within hours, he was able to tell them where Shiva Wusan could be found. Imagine Bruce's delight finding that Ms. Wusan was staying at his favorite Beirut dive, the Hotel Blue. But when Bruce and Jason asked for Ms. Wusan at the reception desk, the man attending explains to them that Ms. Wusan was indeed staying at the hotel. But one day, when she was standing right outside the front door, all of a sudden, this car pulled up. Then, 4 men with machine guns jumped out and kidnapped the woman. Unfortunately, such things are not uncommon in Beirut. Jason was left deflated by the news, but Bruce assured the boy he knew just where to look. When he was tracking down the Joker, he discovered Beirut's criminal element was just as eager to talk to his Batman persona as their Gotham counterparts always are. The trick is in the way you couch the questions you unanswered. With a little coercion, Batman learned that he could find the person he was looking for at the Bashar Pass in the Bekaa Valley. And that is how they came to be here, attempting to rescue Shiva Wusan from her radical Shiite captors. The two heroes take down a couple of the walking sentries, steal their garbs, and wear them as disguises to infiltrate the camp. Elsewhere, a weaselly-looking man drives a green Jeep up to a famine relief camp just outside Mignola, Ethiopia. The man smiles as he pulls up to the guard on duty and informs the guard that he is looking for a Dr. Sheila Haywood. The guard nods back and points to a nearby tent where the doctor can be found. The man enters the tent and calls out the doctor's name, telling her that she's certainly come a long way since Gotham. It seems the doctor is no longer performing illegal operations on teenage girls, the man sneers. In response, Dr. Haywood turns around in her seat and gasps at the sight of the man, instantly recognizing him as the Joker. The doctor then demands to know what the Joker is doing in Ethiopia, of all places. The madman responds that he's just looking up an old friend who's made something worthwhile of her life. Sheila here is currently in charge of the distribution of all medical supplies in the region. The Joker can only assume the doctor's superiors don't know much about her past. It would be a shame if her new life she started came to a disgraceful end, if certain past indiscretions came to light. The doctor lowers her head as she realizes she is being blackmailed. The Joker apologizes. Times have been tough lately. Sadly, he's just another victim of Reaganomics. But half a dozen truckloads of medical supplies will get him back on his feet. He already has black market customers lined up. This is a world that runs on money. To stay in the game, the Joker needs oodles of cash. And the doctor is going to help him get that cash. If she doesn't, the Joker will pull the plug on the good thing she's got here in Ethiopia. Batman counts 20 men in the camp, all armed to the teeth. Him and Robin have got to take them all out before anyone realizes there's an enemy amidst their numbers. It's going to take every ounce of stealth the heroes possess to pull this off without being discovered. Part of Batman is bothered by how smoothly this is all going. He doesn't like it when it gets too easy. It makes him nervous, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Heroes make their way into a weapons stash and find that the Shiite extremists have enough explosives stored to level a major city. They decide that they'll have to deal with the weapons on the way out of the camp. One by one, Batman and Robin dispatch the extremists using non-lethal force and tranquilizer darts. They leave one standing so that he can disclose the whereabouts of Shiva Wusan. The man points to a nearby tent, and Batman thanks him by knocking him out with the butt of a gun. Batman is still concerned about the ease of this operation. The heroes then discard their disguises and rush their target. When they arrive, the tent's empty, just as Batman half expected. Shiva must be around there, somewhere, Batman muses. He knew taking the camp went too easy. These weren't seasoned veterans they faced. Real pros wouldn't have allowed themselves to be caught so flat-footed. It's possible that what they've stumbled on is a terrorist training camp. And Batman's got a pretty good idea who the head instructor around there is. Suddenly, Batman is interrupted mid-sentence by a thunk. Batman spins on his heel just in time to see Robin's body collapse to the floor. That's when Batman hears a familiar voice. It is a wise man who refuses to allow his ego the ability to blind him to the truth. Lady Shiva, Batman answers, we meet again. You seem to have weathered your captivity well. The mercenary stands there, smirking as she spins her nunchaku. Please, spare me your sarcasm, Batman, she hisses. You've already figured out that I was hired to train this mob of malcontents. You didn't do much of a job of it, Batman shoots back. I've only been at it for 3 days. Give a lady a chance. But I suppose I should thank you for assisting me in this endeavor. Your clandestine assault clearly defined the areas I need to work on with this group. Lady Shiva explains she was hiding, lying in wait, and it was very informative. Batman wasn't killing her pupils off, so she saw no reason to interfere. Until now. Batman explains that he and Robin didn't come to Beirut looking for a scrap. He and Robin just want to ask a question or two.
I don't care about the whys of your visit,
the woman hisses.
The fact that you are here is enough for me. When last we met, I was not able to put your prowess to a proper test. A chance to test one's skills against such talents is indeed rare. I can't let an opportunity as golden as this pass by.
Not again, Batman thinks. It's a lot like being a gunfighter in the Old West. When you're the best, every jerk and his sister wants a crack at your title. But Lady Shiva is better than good. Batman doesn't even see some of the hits coming. Shiva's easily got the hitting power of Ra's al Ghul and the speed and agility of the Sensei. Batman realizes he's got a real fight on his hands. If he doesn't start taking this lady seriously, Batman could end up dead. For a moment, Batman believes getting rid of the distracting nunchakus should help. It doesn't. Lady Shiva follows up with an elbow to his nose and a roundhouse kick across the face. Batman is able to block her follow-up attack and punch her hard enough to create some distance, believing that the hit should be enough to take the wind out of the woman's sails. However, she easily recovers from the attack and springs to her feet, proving the mercenary can take it as well as she can dish it out. As hard to believe as it seems, this Shiva Wusan appears to be Batman's equal in the martial arts. His only hope is to come in close and see if he can out-muscle her. It's going to be a real workout. Meanwhile, Robin groans himself awake, only to find Batman and Lady Shiva fighting in the center of the camp. He sprints forward in an attempt to end it, but wonders, who should he help? Bruce, the man who took him off the streets and gave him a home? Or Shiva, the woman who might be his mother? The boy attacks Shiva. Batman sees what the boy's up to and turns on the pressure to keep Shiva from sensing his approach. He then takes full advantage of the situation and hits Shiva with everything he's got. Batman's amazed when Shiva doesn't go under from the punishment he deals her. From somewhere deep within, she draws the strength to make a last-ditch effort at regaining the offensive. It's not enough. Batman ends it as quick and mercifully as he can. After Shiva is finally knocked out, Batman instructs Robin to cuff her and to be ready to take off as soon as he gets back. Batman decides that he is going to take a moment to introduce the concept of the 4th of July to their playmates. Batman tosses all the Shiites into a ditch before setting the time-delayed charge on the ammo storage hut. The Scorpions will awaken, alive, with only their stingers pulled. Once the heroes are about 2 miles from the camp, Batman decides it's time to interrogate Ms. Wusan. Time to answer A few questions, lady, Batman growls.
And if I choose not to answer them?
You've no choice in this matter, Shiva.
I always have a choice,
the mercenary answers smugly. Not this time, Batman spits. Have you ever had a baby? Lady Shiva's jaw drops.
A baby?
She asks, astounded at the question. Then, she begins to chuckle.
Certainly,
she tells Batman.
I've had dozens of babies. I've dropped litters in every corner of the globe.
Batman and Robin look at each other, worried. Knowing who they'd be dealing with, Batman foresaw facing a certain lack of cooperation. So, he brought along a solution to the problem. Every fiber of Batman's being is revolted by the thought of what he's about to do. It won't stop him, though. He digs in his belt and pulls out a syringe before announcing the liquid it contains is sodium pentothal, the truth serum. That's the biggest trouble with this line of work. You can't always get the job done and remain a hero in your own eyes. Once Batman injects the mercenary with the syringe, he re-asks his question. Shiva, did you ever have any children? The mercenary slowly begins to lose consciousness. But before she falls asleep completely, she answers that she is not a mother. She has no children to speak of. Batman and Robin stick around until the effects of the drug wears off. Fortunately for Shiva, training terrorists is not against the law in this country. Technically, she's done nothing wrong. But that doesn't mean Batman is going to help her. He decides to leave her where she is, tied up on the ground. With her abilities, Shiva will have herself free and be on her way back to civilization within the hour. Batman and Robin will be halfway to Beirut by then. One go-around with Shiva was plenty for the Crusader for today. As the two leave, Batman sighs out and asks Jason, "Too bad. Would she have been the type of mother you'd want to have?" "Course not," the boy responds. "Still, it's kind of a disappointment." "Sounds to me like Sheila Haywood would make a much better candidate," Batman says confidently. His tone brings a smile to the boy's face. "Yeah," Robin says, now raising his head. "So let's get our tails in gear, man. Ethiopia, here we come." An Ethiopian refugee camp just outside Mignola. The misery has returned. Once again, the world didn't listen in time. The same mistakes were repeated. Starvation and death cast a long shadow over this land. The refugees flock into the camps by the thousands each day. It's utterly heartbreaking. When Bruce returns to Gotham, he'll send out another check to help the effort and try to forget what he's seen there. He's no different from anyone else. There's only so much even Bruce Wayne and Batman can do. Truthfully, these grim surroundings momentarily cause Bruce to forget the real reason he's there. One look at Jason Todd's features brings it all back to surface. They have to find Jason's real mother. They have one last candidate to interview. Bruce can't fault Jason's impatience. How often in life do you get to meet your own mother for the first time? The two find Dr. Haywood within a medical tent. As soon as she sees Bruce Wayne, she recognizes him as the millionaire Gothamite. As soon as he sees her, he knows that he and Jason have hit pay dirt. Jason's got her eyes. Bruce introduces the doctor to the boy.
Oh my God.
Jason? She mutters, leaning forward. Jason doesn't think twice and wraps his arms around Dr. Haywood. She flinches. Bruce can see that this revelation has floored her. It's going to take some time to get used to the idea of being a mother again. He watches the two and smiles, assuming now is the best time to make his leave. He drives off, wondering if he's just lost another partner. Within the tent, Dr. Haywood explains to Jason that before, she was a struggling medical student when she met and fell in love with his father. Shortly after Jason was born, she got in trouble when an operation she was assisting on got botched. The incident put an end to her medical career back in the States. Willis, Jason's father, was supposed to join her once she got settled in England. But Jason's dad fell in love with Katherine Johnson before Dr. Haywood could send for him. The doctor thought it best to let them raise Jason as their own. She had neither the funds or any hope of winning custody of Jason in a legal battle. Besides, a custody fight would have been too rough on Jason. Dr. Haywood finally accepted the fact that Willis would probably never let her see her son again. At around 10 minutes till 9:30, Dr. Haywood stands Jason up and escorts him out of the tent, explaining that she needs to get back to work. It's camp business she can't get out of. If Jason can wait for about an hour, in the meantime, Jason can help her with the food dispersal. The boy obliges, but once he steps out of the tent, Jason sees a green Jeep roll by. Then, 3 men step out of the vehicle. One of them, Jason immediately recognizes as the Joker, most likely making the other 2 men his hired guns. Jason watches in amazement as the Joker and his goons stroll into his mother's tent and assumes a situation like this calls for a little eavesdropping. Jason doesn't hear the whole conversation, but he does hear his mother talking about covering something up. Then he hears the Joker's voice.
All I care about is getting my hands on that 6 truckloads of medical supplies. How you arrange that is your problem, sweetie. But remember, if you screw this up, your superiors will learn of the medical trouble which drove you to this rat hole. The Gotham City Police are still rather interested in who performed that sloppy operation on that poor, dead teenager. You've got a good thing going for you here as the chief distributor of medical supplies. Don't mess it up.
There is some silence for a moment before Jason hears the Joker speak again.
Shall we go to your warehouse then?
The Joker asks Dr. Haywood.
My drivers are awaiting our arrival.
Jason attempts to stay out of view as he trails the madman and his mother to the green Jeep. The boy watches as the vehicles slowly begin to kick up dirt and pick up speed, and Jason is left with no other option but to steal a nearby man's motor scooter in order to follow the green Jeep and a caravan of trucks to the medical warehouse. Once they arrive, the Joker's men begin unloading boxes from the truck in order to replace the ones they choose to steal. Dr. Haywood cautiously asks the Joker if the boxes are empty, and the Joker responds,
No, they contain a mixture of my lethal laughing gas. Just imagine the surprise when one of your bleeding heart social workers opens any of these cartons. Each box contains enough gas to cover a 4-acre stretch. Just consider it my little contribution to the war against hunger.
The doctor sniffs to stop her tears from sliding down her cheek.
Oh, don't look so down, Sheila. I'm doing you a favor. Think of it as a way of cutting down the number of mouths you have to feed.
The madman then begins to cackle before reminding Dr. Haywood that he likes to leave a mark wherever he goes. Jason becomes resolute, vowing to save his mother from the clutches of the Joker. The boy manages to sneak away from the medical warehouse and back to the motor scooter before racing back to the camp. He knows full well that he is in over his head. Instead, he decides that this is a job for Batman and Robin. Luckily, when Jason returns, he runs into Bruce. He quickly tells Bruce what he knows, and within a few minutes, Bruce is suited up and tracking down the Joker. Unfortunately, what Batman finds instead is a convoy of famine relief workers taking a load of supplies to a refugee outpost. The trucks will be on the highway in a moment. His Land Rover wasn't made for such high-speed chases. In an attempt to warn the drivers about their deadly cargo, Batman pulls out his minicopter. Before he leaves, Batman looks Jason in his eyes. Take no action until I get back. I repeat, no action. Just for once, please listen to me, Jason. Don't tangle with the Joker alone. Wait for me to get back, please. That madman's just too dangerous for you to handle. Do you read me? Loud and clear, Jason barks. The sound of the helicopter propellers spiraling forces him to speak up. Just hurry back. Batman waves goodbye as the minicopter lifts into the air. Jason waves back, silently apologizing in his mind to his mentor. While Batman is busy with the caravan, Jason will make his way back to the warehouse to save his mother. He finds her exiting a building and lighting up a cigarette. "Mom!" he calls out to her. "Jason? You've got big trouble, Mom. I know all about it. The Joker, everything." "I don't know what you're talking about," Dr. Haywood denies, averting her gaze. "Come on, Mom," Jason reasons. "Play straight with me. I can help you. There's a lot about me you don't know." The boy unzips his jacket, revealing the red of his uniform. "That outfit," Dr. Haywood mutters before immediately pulling him into the warehouse where they will be safe from wondering eyes. She tells him, "The Joker is gone. There's nothing to worry about. But I have something else you should see. Just step over here and you'll understand everything, Robin." Robin follows his mother around the corner. That is when the Joker appears. The madman steps forward, pistol in hand, and chuckles as he watches the fear spread across the boy's face. "What?" Robin shouts, turning back to address his mother. "But you said—" "I lied," the doctor says flatly, lifting her own pistol at the child. "You see, I can't afford to have you stirring up trouble. I've been dipping into the medical funds myself. If you blow the whistle on the Joker, the ensuing investigation would certainly uncover my embezzling." Robin is speechless. He does nothing as the Joker's goons walk from around the corner and block his only available exit. The doctor apologizes. "Sorry about that, kid. Looks like you chose the wrong person to trust this time." "What should we do with him?" she asks the Joker. "Something I've wanted to do for years," the Joker sneers. The evil clown struts forward and pistol whips Robin hard enough to throw the hero off balance. Robin uses pure strength of will and determination to stay on his feet. But the Joker responds by kicking the boy in the face, which sends him flying to the ground. "Oh, come now, bird boy. You're not going to sleep on me already, are you? The party's just got started." The Joker lifts the hero to his feet by his collar. "Then let's boogie," Robin yells. He successfully sneak attacks the madman, striking the Joker in the stomach when he least expects it. The Joker's goons do not take this lightly. One rushes Robin and punches him back down to the ground. The other puts all his weight behind a strong kick to the hero's ribcage. The Joker finds and grabs a crowbar from off a nearby storage crate and lifts it into the air. He tells Robin, "You've been a bad boy. You must be punished. Prepare yourself for a severe spanking, young man. But let me tell you right from the start, this is going to hurt you a lot more than it does me." The Joker swings down the crowbar with one arm and strikes Robin in the back. The boy howls out in pain. He coughs and chokes on the blood filling his mouth. The Joker strikes again and again. This time with two hands. And again. The doctor watches everything. She can't stand the sight. She can't stand the sound. So she turns around and lights up another cigarette. Elsewhere, Batman is pushing the minicopter to the limit. He's already regretting leaving Jason behind. Something deep inside him is scratching that was the wrong move. He should have had Jason go after the convoy. But Jason would have only refused to leave his mother. Bruce didn't really have a choice. Suddenly, things get from bad to worse. The troopers guarding the convoy mistake Batman for a hijacker. One of them is lucky on their first shot. The bullet takes out the main hydraulics and an oil line. It's time for Batman to bail out. Fortunately, he finds a nice, soft, trigger-happy soldier to land on. He takes out the other with a drug-tipped dart. As Batman approaches the medical trucks, some of the medical workers recognize him, knowing him to be the hero of Gotham. He explains the situation in record time. Batman needs the workers to unload the boxes and leave them for the army to deal with. Meanwhile, he'll be needing one of their trucks in order to get back to the warehouse in time. The hero curses the loss of the copter. It's going to take him at least 20 minutes to get back to the warehouse. Batman just prays he'll be there in time. Back in the warehouse, the Joker huffs as he attempts to gather his breath. My, that was fun. Kind of messy though. Dr. Haywood winces at the sight of Robin. She asks the Joker what Batman is going to do to them when he finds out what they did to his little friend. The Joker raises an eyebrow before admitting, "Hadn't thought of that. He's a vengeful one, that Batman. This could get a bit sticky. Maybe it would be best if I didn't leave behind any evidence of my presence. What the Batman doesn't know can't hurt me. Too bad you had to witness this little display of my temper, Sheila." The Joker signals for one of his goons to grab and tie Dr. Haywood to a nearby structure beam. Dr. Haywood pleads for mercy, reasoning, "It won't work, Joker. They'll know it's you from the slaughtered refugees. Perhaps the authorities will figure their deaths were caused by something disagreeable that they ate. Doesn't matter. There won't be any direct evidence connecting me to Bird Boy's death. That's one of the most fascinating aspects of the Batman. The righteous boob insists on solid evidence before going Nova." Fortunately, the Joker never goes anywhere without bringing along at least one explosive device. He instructs his second goon to place it at the doctor's feet before telling her that she has 10 minutes, and that he'll enjoy the thought of her counting every second of them. For 8 minutes, Dr. Haywood cries. She can't believe what just happened. She played it straight with the Joker, and he still double-crossed her. But then, to the doctor's surprise, Robin groans himself awake and attempts to push himself to his knees so that he can crawl over to her. "Jason?" she shouts, bewildered. "You're still alive?" With a minute and 30 seconds left, she instructs the hero to deactivate the bomb. As the hero drags himself closer, he leaves a trail of blood behind him. In no shape to handle that, he mutters, speaking about the bomb. I gotta get you out of here. I'll save you, Mom. There's 57 seconds left, and the hero begins untying the doctor. There, you're free, he tells her. Run for it. Go! There's 39 seconds left, and the hero collapses back on the floor. There's 20 seconds left, and the doctor attempts to lift the hero up to his feet and exit the warehouse. There's 12 seconds left, and they're almost there. There are 5 seconds left, and the doctor is setting down the hero so that she can open the door. There are 2 seconds left, and something is wrong. There is 1 second left, and the doctor tells the hero that the door is locked. Batman is only minutes away from the warehouse when he spots them, the Joker and his goons speeding away in their green Jeep. Even at this distance, he recognizes Joker is the driver. The decision must be made. Does Batman go after the lunatic, or return to the warehouse to see if Jason's all right? He opts for the warehouse. By the time Batman arrives, there is no screaming for help. There is no ticking from a timer. There is no laughter from a madman. There is no explosion waiting to happen. Just the ticking and the clicking of the fire burning everything to the ground. Bruce warned Jason not to take on the Joker by himself. He begged Jason to wait, but of course he didn't. He never listens. Why? Why? Why didn't Bruce see that Jason was too young for this kind of work? How could he have been so stupid? It's just that he felt so adrift when he lost Dick Grayson as his partner. The Batman needed a Robin. But that was a different, less dangerous time. The truth is that Batman was lonely. He didn't want to go alone. So, what does Bruce do? He brings a young innocent into this mad game. He must be insane. Jason was ripping off the tires on the Batmobile. That's how they first met. The kid was living on his own in an abandoned apartment building. He was getting by boosting tires. His mother had just recently died, and his father had disappeared. Probably been thrown in jail. At least, that's what they thought at the time. So, in a moment of sentimental lunacy, Bruce took the boy in and revealed to him that he was the Batman. Bruce thought he'd found his new Robin. Jason took to the training like a fish to water. He was quick and intelligent. It was like training Dick again. But this kid had a rebellious streak in him. Bruce told himself he'd work it out of his system in time. He blinded himself to so much. Bruce and Jason were going to be a great team. That was all that mattered. But, right from the start, there was trouble. This new Robin came with an overload of emotional luggage. Batman's investigations soon uncovered the fact that Jason's father had worked for the gangster Two-Face. Worse yet, it appeared that Two-Face had killed Jason's father for failing in some assignment. Of course, after that, Batman and Robin's top priority was tracking down and busting Two-Face's gang. Bruce's worst fear was that Jason wanted more than justice for his father's death. He was afraid that Jason was out for blood. But then, the moment of truth came. Circumstances put Two-Face at the boy's mercy. Jason walked away. He let Two-Face's punishment be determined by the law. Bruce was so proud of Jason. He thought, at last, everything would be okay. But things didn't work out. Jason's confrontation with Two-Face gave him no peace. Jason began to have dark mood swings and got more rebellious. It became increasingly difficult to keep the boy under control. He'd disobey orders. Then, Jason started taking unreasonable risks. Bruce had no choice. He placed the boy on inactive duty. He didn't like it. That's when things went from bad to worse. That's when Jason found out about his mother, his real mother, Dr. Sheila Haywood. Bruce tracked Jason down to the Middle East. Unfortunately, he wasn't the only one headed that way. So was Batman's old foe, the Joker. Jason had 3 women who he suspected might be his real mother. He struck out on the first 2, but he hit pay dirt when they arrived at the famine refugee camp there in Ethiopia. Bruce can still see the happiness on the boy's face when he realized the search for his mother had come to an end. He then left Jason at the camp to get to know his real mother better. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time. How was Bruce to know that Jason would discover that his mother was doing business with the Joker? The Joker planned to hijack a shipment of medical supplies to replenish his operating funds. He also planned to substitute a load of his lethal laughing gas in place of these supplies. Batman had to go after the shipment, which was headed for a refugee camp. Hundreds of innocent people would have died if he hadn't. Jason was supposed to wait for his return before going after his mother and the Joker. Bruce should have known he wouldn't wait. Dr. Haywood was also caught in the blast, and she's in bad shape. Upon closer inspection, Batman can tell that she isn't going to make it. For a moment, Batman is stunned, and his mind drifts. But the sound of her voice snaps him back to reality. The doctor explains that the Joker tied her and Jason up before setting a bomb to explode. He wanted to eliminate all evidence of him being there.
Jason tried to rescue me.
The doctor continues through short gasps of air.
We almost made it. So close.
Her eyes begin to lower.
He turned out good. To be such a good kid. All his problems. And he still turned out good. He's much better than I deserve. Much better. He threw himself in front of me. In front of me. He took the main brunt of the blast. Such a good boy. Must have really loved his mother.
Batman's stomach drops at the realization that the doctor was never Jason's mother. So what was all this for, then? It doesn't take long to find Jason after that. One look tells the story. There's no need for Batman to check for a pulse, but he does anyway. There's nothing. Bruce has lost him, and the boy's already cold to the touch. He's gone. Later, within a warehouse located in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the Joker hands off the medical supplies that the Effendi contracted him for, and Effendi being the title given to a man of high social status in such parts of the world. The Joker lets it be known that he always delivers on his word. This is good news, says the Effendi. He is pleased by this. In fact, he has another matter he and the Joker must discuss. At that moment, two men in black suits approach the clown and flash their badges, claiming themselves to be part of the Iranian Secret Service. The Secret Service members claim their superior has a business proposition he'd like to discuss with the Joker, and he's waiting in the rear office of the warehouse. And he does not like to be kept waiting. The Joker scoffs at this remark, asking if that is supposed to be his cue to jump through a hoop. The Joker doesn't take requests. However, this does pique the Joker's interest. He tells the secret agents that if he lets the agent live long enough, they will find that the Joker isn't impressed by just anyone. The Joker swings open the door and finds none other than the former president and current supreme leader of Iran sitting behind a desk. The supreme leader calmly looks up at the Joker, thanks him for his time, and offers the clown a position in his government. Back at the medical supply warehouse, Batman removes what little remains of Jason's costume that could have identified him as Robin before calling the authorities. They've got a million questions. It takes up most of the day. Bruce Wayne patiently answers their every inquiry. No, he doesn't know what caused the explosion. Maybe something they had stored there. The victims' names were Sheila Haywood, and Jason Todd. They were mother and son. Yes, Bruce will be seeing to having the bodies flown back to the States for burial. He's going to take care of everything. The cops continue their search for the cause of this tragedy. Evidence Batman has already removed from the scene. Let them write it off as an accident. There's no reason for them to get involved. This is a personal matter. Batman doesn't locate the warehouse the Joker used until the following night. He knows the Joker will be long gone from there, but it's still got to be checked out anyway. The Joker may have left a clue to his whereabouts, along with the bodies of his discarded henchmen. Batman will never get used to the rigored smiles of the Joker's victims. Finally, he hits the jackpot. A personalized note left in blood instructing Batman to meet the clown at 42nd and 1st. Batman takes the Joker at his word and heads home. Sheila and Jason accompany him in the plane's cargo bay. There's not a big turnout for the funeral. Bruce had no idea how to contact any of Sheila's old friends. And Jason's life was too short for his passing to cause many ripples. You see, the world doesn't know that the new Robin is dead. That's the way it has to remain if Bruce is to maintain a secret identity. Yeah, it's cold, but it's a cruel world out there. Alfred offers to contact Master Dick to help Bruce with the hunt for the Joker, but Bruce refuses. From now on, he's going to handle things by himself. In Gotham City, there's a deli, drugstore, newsstand, and department store on the corner of 42nd and 1st. It's highly unlikely that's where the Joker wants to meet. In Metropolis, there's 2 parking lots, another deli, and an office building on those corners. That's not it either. But in New York City, there's the United Nations Plaza. Batman knows at once that this has got to be it. The Joker wanted him to know he was coming to the UN. But why? What is the Joker planning? Batman has got to find something to tell him what the madman is up to. Then, Joker, it'll be just you and me, Batman muses to himself. I've excused the evil you've done in the past because of your insanity. I'll not make that mistake again. Suddenly, Batman hears his name get called from above. He looks up and sees Superman floating down. What are you doing here? Batman snarls. The State Department asked me to stop by, says the Boy Scout. Why? Because they guessed you'd be here. Batman's demeanor shifts. How did they know that? He asks Superman. The Iranian government informed them that you might show up to cause trouble. Superman, Batman says sternly. What's going on here? Superman looks away. This isn't going to be easy to explain, Batman, I'm not sure I understand how it all came about myself. Iran has a new ambassador to the UN showing up today. The State Department checked. It's all legitimate and by the book. Superman then meets his gaze. It seems this man now has complete diplomatic immunity. That means no one can arrest him for any crimes in this country. Batman raises an eyebrow. Superman continues. The police can't touch him. Neither can you. This immunity also covers any violations of the law he might have committed before being appointed to the post. I'm sorry, Batman. That's the way it works. We have got to go along with this madness. Diplomatic immunity is a two-way street. If we don't honor Iran's rights in this matter, there's no reason for them to respect ours. If you try anything, Batman, it could cause an international incident. I'm here to talk some sense into you. But if that doesn't work, who's the ambassador? Batman barks, clenching his fist. Why don't you just go home? Superman reasons. Who? There's nothing you can do here. Who? Who? Batman snarls before pulling his fist and punching Superman across the jaw with all his might. Batman instantly doubles over in pain. Feel better now? Superman asks, patronizingly. I think I broke a couple of my knuckles, Batman tells him. No, Superman corrects him, but they are badly bruised. You're lucky I rolled with that punch. You could have crippled yourself. Batman turns to walk away. I can't believe you actually did that, Batman, Superman calls out. What's eating you? Batman avoids the question. Instead, he asks Superman when this new ambassador is scheduled to arrive. That's him pulling up to the curb now, Superman points. Batman, don't do anything stupid. As the vehicle pulls to a stop, Batman can't escape the rage building inside him. He isn't even surprised when he sees the Joker step out of the car and laugh. His name is Ralph Bundy, a CIA agent. The president sent him to talk to Batman. Batman already knows what he is going to say, but he listens anyway. Bundy explains that it's like this. You take out the Joker, and it's going to cause a major international incident. The State Department's currently in the middle of some very delicate negotiations with Iran. Another arms for hostages deal? Batman asks. None of your business, Bundy snaps. Guys like us should just do our jobs and let the big shots do theirs. They know what's going on, and they say hands off Iran's new UN ambassador. Understood? Batman doesn't respond. Bundy continues. The Joker's got diplomatic immunity. State doesn't want anyone messing with him, especially you. You can't be serious. The Joker's a homicidal maniac, Batman argues. They only made him ambassador so he can kill someone, probably the entire UN General Assembly.
We've got no hard evidence to prove that. Until we do, the Joker has to be treated like any other delegate. That attitude is as insane as the Joker himself, Batman growls. Maybe, Bundy admits, but that's the way it is. Not for me, it isn't. Afraid so, pal, Bundy counters again. He then points back at Superman. The president has asked this gentleman to keep you in line. You misbehave, he'll slap you down. Batman looks over to Superman. Is that how it is? I'll do what I have to, the Boy Scout admits. Batman turns his back on Superman. Batman, Bruce, Superman says softly. I read on the telex about your ward, Jason Todd, being killed in an Ethiopian warehouse fire. Was he Robin? Yes, Batman says under his voice. I'm sorry to hear that. He seems like a really nice kid. He was. Jason was the best. The Joker murdered him. Do you have proof? A death and statement by his mother. Good enough for me, if not the court of law. Now that Superman is on the same page, he can understand Batman's frustration. He plays the devil's advocate. But the Joker's immunized from retribution for that and any other crime that he's ever committed. That's the law, not justice, Batman hisses. Don't do anything stupid, Bruce. You can't put your thirst for vengeance above your country's best interest. Spare me your Boy Scout sentimentalities, Kent. To use your own words, I'll do what I have to. Maybe, with a little luck, we'll not find ourselves at cross purposes. Back in his hotel room, Bruce sees what his federal contacts can do about getting him into the General Assembly as Bruce Wayne. Bruce's reputation as a playboy dilettante keeps him from obtaining a position as a delegate. But they manage to squeeze him in as an unofficial observer. Now, Bruce can keep an eye on the Joker without making the State Department nervous. The fools. It looks like this is it. The final showdown between him and the Joker. Bruce always knew it would someday come to this. One of them is going to die. But is that really what Bruce wants to see happen? The man's hopelessly insane. How can Bruce hold the Joker responsible even for what happened to Jason? Or is Bruce just looking for a cop-out? The Joker has come close to killing him dozens of times, and he's still not back to total efficiency after that encounter he had with Deacon Blackfire. Bruce is too emotionally involved. Maybe it would be best to let Superman handle this. That way, Bruce doesn't do something he will regret for the rest of his life. Later that night, the lights are still burning in the windows of the Iranian mission to the UN. Batman is sure the new ambassador is up. He's rumored to be an insomniac. Within the building, the Joker's assistant, Yassar, informs him that everything is arranged for him to speak before the General Assembly tomorrow night. The UN security insisted it be so. They fear the Joker and are limiting access to his speech.
No one will be allowed in the gallery. That's a smart move on their part, the Joker admits. Not that it will do them much good. Too bad about there being no audience, though. The Joker states it would have been delicious to have a large crowd of spectators. He just loves large, dead crowds. The Joker thanks Yasar for his time and bids him a good evening. Once the madman is alone, Batman reveals himself. "Don't do it, Joker," he orders. "I'm giving you one last chance. Return to Arkham Asylum and turn yourself in."
"And if I don't," the Joker sneers, "what are you going to do about it? Let your assistant handle it."
Batman doesn't respond.
"I'd have loved to have seen your face when you found what was left of the little brat. Set you off the deep end, didn't it? You see, even a madman can add 2 plus 2.
Small chuckles escape the Joker like hiccups building in his chest. He beams into Batman's eyes and wonders aloud,
"Maybe you're glad to be rid of the little darling."
"You always know exactly the wrong thing to say, don't you?" Batman asks calmly in an attempt to control his emotions.
"That's what makes me so special!"
"Very well. Have it your way. I'll be seeing you around. By the way, thanks." Batman turns to leave through the window.
"Thanks?" the Joker gasps. "Thanks for what?"
"Up until now, I wasn't absolutely certain that you were responsible for what happened to Jason. Your confirming it makes what I have to do a lot easier." Batman continues to make his exit. This angers the clown.
"So, that's how it's going to be, hey? Wanna play tough, do we? Okay, let's mambo."
The Joker pulls out a pistol and points it in the direction of Batman. To the clown's surprise, the bat is nowhere to be found.
"Gone!" the Joker curses. "I hate it when he does that."
"But he does make life worth living.
I'm all a tingly. Now, I won't be able to sleep a wink. I can't wait until tomorrow night."
The UN Assembly Chamber. This is the august body of men and women the Joker plans to massacre. The powers that be have ordered Batman to do nothing to stop this slaughter. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Nothing. But afterwards, the Joker is his. Every eye in the auditorium is locked onto the clown. He truly is magnificent. Fascinating. Everyone in attendance knows that the Joker is death personified. Bruce has lost track of how many the madman has murdered over the years. But it all ends tonight. No more killing. No more Joker. However, on his way to the front podium, the Joker stops at the unexpected sight of Bruce Wayne. For a moment, Bruce worries if the Joker recognizes him. If the Joker knows who he really is. He may never know. But Bruce is feeling a terrible sense of finality. Him and the Joker have been linked to each other for so long. neither of them truly understanding the bond. Much to Bruce's disdain, the Joker begins to cackle wildly. This settles it. Bruce should have terminated the Joker's vile existence years ago, but he didn't. He couldn't. The Joker's insanity gained him a stay of execution, but no longer. The Joker has become too dangerous, his crimes too heinous, and Jason is dead. The Joker's slow stroll finally leads him to the podium. He greets the security on duty before clearing his throat sarcastically. "It is a great honor for me to be here tonight. I am proud to speak for the great Islamic Republic of Iran. The country's current leaders and I have a lot in common. Insanity and a great love of fish. But unfortunately, we also share a mutual problem. We get no respect. Everyone thinks of Iran as the home of a terrorist zealot. They say even worse things about me. Would you believe? We've both suffered unkind abuse and belittlement. Well, we aren't going to take it anymore!" The Joker slams down his fist in show. "You'll no longer be able to kick us around. In fact, you aren't going to be able to kick anyone around ever again." The Joker casts off his Iranian garbs and reveals 2 gas tanks filled with his lethal laughing gas that are strapped to his chest. There is also a small handheld weapon attached to the tank, and the Joker grabs it and points it at the crowd. "Say goodnight, Gracie!" he shouts before cackling madly. Bruce Wayne watches as all across the auditorium, the sheep finally realize they've been led to slaughter. The Joker begins to spray his laughing gas into every corner of the room. Bruce Wayne finds some cover to change into his costume just in case. However, just as he figured, Batman doesn't have to lift a finger to save the day. He knew the Boy Scout wouldn't let him down. The security on duty walks over to the Joker, grabs the gun, and crushes it within his grasp. Then, the security raises his chin into the air and inhales deeply, sucking all of the laughing gas in the room into his own body, revealing himself to be none other than Superman. "Superman!" the Joker exclaims, bewildered. "No fair! You're not supposed to meddle in my affairs! Unfair! Unfair! Unfair!" The madman stomps around the stage like a petulant child. "Foul! I call foul!" Superman tells Batman that he is going to leave everything to him while he finds a safe place to exhale all of the laughing gas. As soon as Superman leaves the building, the Joker pulls out a remote detonator and presses down, activating it and setting off a number of explosive charges around the building. The clown snickers to himself before telling the people of the assembly, "Everyone must be penalized for cheating. You see, the Joker is not going to take this lying down, not when I have a plan B to fall back on." The Joker obviously had his henchmen plant these explosives earlier in the day. The monster always has another trick up his sleeve. Always another deadly trick. The Joker sniffs in the tainted air and pulls out his pistol. Nothing like a little death, destruction, and smoke to make an exit on. Now, is Batman's chance to rush the madman. Not this time, Joker. Give it up.
I can't, the Joker tells Batman while firing his weapon. I can't!
Batman dodges the gunfire and tackles the clown to the ground.
Have a little going away present, Batsy, old boy.
The Joker kicks Batman off him and fires his weapon again. Batman manages to avoid the deadly fusillade. The delegate behind him is not so lucky. Another innocent sacrifice to the Joker's mania. Wherever the Joker goes, death follows. Just another hapless victim to haunt Bruce's sleep. There needs to be an end to it. No more. Batman is distracted enough by the death of the innocent that the Joker is able to make his leave from the building. However, running will do the madman no good. No matter where he flees, Batman will be right behind him. The Joker races to the roof of the building, where a helicopter is awaiting his arrival. The Joker hops into the vehicle, and within seconds, it begins to lift into the air. Batman is not only able to catch up to the Joker, but he makes it just in time to grab onto the helicopter before it can fly out of reach. He uses his anger to fuel him. There will be no escape. The Joker killed Jason. Jason is all Bruce can think about. Batman pulls himself up into the helicopter and is met with a number of Iranian guards with weapons in hand. Within the cramped space, Batman is able to fight off a number of the guards as he clears a way to the clown. One guard picks up his weapon off the floor and once again aims it at Batman. The panicked man's gunfire is indiscriminate, not caring who it strikes. Both Batman and the Joker are hit, and one slug passes them both and takes off the back of the pilot's head. The gunman immediately realizes his mistake and drops his guard long enough for Batman to take him out. This isn't quite the way Batman imagined this scenario ending. He'll be lucky to escape with his life. The helicopter spirals madly as it careens towards a nearby dock. Batman readies himself to jump out of the vehicle, but before he does, he says farewell to his old foe. The Joker just lays there, drenched in his own blood, gasping for air through his stifled laughter. Then, Batman jumps out of the helicopter and into the water below. He watches as the helicopter crashes and explodes on impact. Seconds later, Superman arrives to help lift Batman out of the water. "Find his body," Batman orders. "Find his body!" But, truthfully, Batman knows they won't. That's the way things always end with him and the Joker. Unresolved.